This is my wood shop, located in central Indiana. I work here. I'm a wood turner, carver, burner, and I work alone. My name is Humphrey. Some people call me Top. Others call me Rob. It doesn't matter. It was Monday, 9 a.m., and it was cold. I lit a fire and paced my shop, looking into the possibilities of my next project. I found a suspect. It was the same wood I used for the Celtic Knot Bowl. I remember it well. On its surface, it looked fine, but hidden beneath that friendly facade was a punk, hateful and uncooperative. A real chip on its shoulder. But that didn't stop me. I had a job to do, to make it cooperate, to complete this project. You know, sometimes I just get comments that make me laugh, and I received a couple recently just saying that I sounded like a old-time radio detective show or Dragnet or something like that, so I thought I'd play with that a little bit. But don't worry, I'm done. So I just used carbon paper to transfer that design onto the wood. And then I'm just using a standard router with a 1/8 wide by 1/2 inch long straight bit to cut this design out. I should say route this design out. And like it says on screen here, this is Art and Glow resin, which is a resin I like a lot. It's a little more friendly than the that stuff I got at the big box store that I've used in previous projects. It does take a little bit longer to cure. I let it cure for 24 hours, but end results I'm real happy with. If you're interested in that resin, there's a link in my video description, or just look it up online. I used a faceplate to mount this instead of the worm screw that I usually use, just because it's so big and heavy. And I didn't bring the tailstock up for support because I had 8 screws holding onto it. And this is that big 3/4 inch bowl gouge, the wood beater from Carter & Son, and I have it sharpened to 600 grit via a CBN wheel. Just doing everything I could to get off to a good start with this wood. And let's see how it looks. Look at those tearouts. Look at that. So right off the bat, I know I'm dealing with the same nasty stuff I was dealing with that Celtic Knot Bowl, but I expected it. So it's all good. I know what I'm working with. And here I'm just approaching from the opposite direction, because sometimes tear out is happening due to the direction of approach with your gouge. And as you can see here, I'm able to take that tear out down going this direction. So that's what I do for the most part in forming the outside shape of this bowl. You just got to work with the wood, try different things, try a different direction, and see how it works out. Some good looking shavings coming off of that bowl now. Look at that. See, I've marked the tip of that tool at about 3/16 of an inch. That's how deep I want to make this mortise. It's important that I'm precise with this because I don't have a lot of resin to work with as far as thickness. So I'm looking at about 5/16 thickness at the end. Right now, let's take a look at what some of my very talented audience has been up to. Lars Plashewski made these. Frequent commenter on my channel. I appreciate it. Real nice. Look at the eyes on the side of that bowl. Pretty cool. Nick made these. The Flaming Turner on YouTube. Travis Wackman took a manzanita root and some resin and made this thing of beauty. Look at that thing. Nice. Now, I've said it before, and I'm going to keep on saying it because I am so incredibly grateful to all of you subscribers out there. The interest that you show on my channel, the support that you give me by subscribing means so much to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're turning the inside of this bowl, and it presents more difficulties because there's no option to change direction if there's a lot of tear out, and there's a lot of tear out. I'm just going to deal with it using multiple tools and a whole lot of sandpaper at the end, and we'll see how it turns out. But I just refuse to give up on this. It's just the wood is too pretty. I mean, it's obstinate. It's prone to difficulty, but it's not going to beat me. You take that difficult thing and own it. So I scraped, I shear scraped, I went in with the bowl gouge, and I've still got tear out. You know what? I'm okay with it. It's at about this point where I decide it's kind of hard to describe, but I'm going to accentuate the flaws of this bowl because the flaws are part of the character, and the world needs more character these days, doesn't it? Well, it's dark outside. It's time to go in. Haven't seen my wife all day long. So the last thing I'm doing is adding a thick coat of just regular clear shellac with the hopes it'll firm things up for me and make that tear out easier to work with, hopefully. So the next morning I went to work with the sandpaper on the inside, and I started with 80 thinking that would be good enough, and went down to 60 grit, which, wow. I sanded and sanded and sanded, and I could not get the tearout out completely. So like I said earlier, I'm just going to own it. It is part of this bowl. It's part of the character of this bowl, and it's okay. It's okay. The whole package is going to end up looking pretty good. At least that's my intent. I'm just using a flex cut chip carving knife here, and this is a long, painstaking process that, it was a labor of love. You might be wondering why the chuck is still attached to the bowl. I left it on there for the weight, just to help hold the bowl a little bit more securely. I did end up taking it off. And here I'm just using sandpaper to take off the bigger tool marks. And then I use a diamond burr rotary tool tip to take off some more. But I intentionally left quite a few tool marks in there. And that thought process goes back to what I was talking about when I was working with the tearout on the inside of the bowl. Own it, accentuate it. Make it part of the design because it's there. So I put 2 really thick coats of clear shellac on this. I debated whether or not to go with a nice thick, maybe even a resin clear coat. But this is a rough, rustic looking dragon bowl. It doesn't need to be shiny. It just needs to show the character. Now you can see inside the bowl I got most of the tearouts handled. But there's still some there. And there's chips and tool marks on the outside of the bowl to match the tearouts on the inside. So like it says on screen, the bowl is both rough and refined. Let me know what you think. I'm happy with the results. I hope you are too, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and I sure thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I appreciate it. Semper Fi.